new year for us with this budget. So I have some things that the board has allowed me to share with you today. Technically, they're not being approved until Monday at our next board member meeting, but I've been given the charge that I can share them with you. The first thing is, and I'm not going to make the brand new first-year teachers stand again, but I'm just letting you know a little change that we've made. I know in your contract when you started, we said it'd be $45,000. I hope you don't mind change too much. We've started the new teacher salary in Magnolia ISD is $46,000 effective this year. Magnolia ISD is going to stay competitive with the marketplace. And we told the teachers in May that there would be at least a 3% salary increase. Board, is it okay if I spill the beans today, or should we wait till Monday? Okay. Where's those drummers? I need a little drum roll on this one. There we go. Just asked with this group. So effective with this school year, with your contracts, effective immediately, there will be a 4% across the board salary increase for every Magnolia ISD employee. I probably should just sit down right now. I mean, how does it get any better than that, right? But there's more. You know, we don't dictate what happens in the classroom because we don't micromanage our staff or our teachers. We don't set the accountability test, but what we do is try to give you the tools to make, well, your job's not easy, but at least to give you the tools you need to be more successful. So here's some tools we've given you this year. First of all, we've added back some positions into the school system that we had to take away with past cuts. We've also increased our substitute pay, so we're no longer trailing in Montgomery County, but we are now leading the pack and keeping our talent here at home. We're adding back one local leave day. I think that was a good thing. Remember that next year. Okay, just saying. Also, this catastrophic leave bank that I'm not about to try to explain because Mr. Daniels has explained it to me and my eyes just start crossing. But bottom line is, you will no longer have to give a day to the catastrophic leave. The bank is going away. All Magnolia ISD employees will be able to have catastrophic leave based on what the committee says. We had fun this summer. It was a good year. Aren't we glad we have a new Dr. Stevens? It's really about the growth and what all is going on in Magnolia, and that's what's exciting. All of this, and Magnolia taxpayers, we're also going to be able to reduce the property tax rate by 1 cent. That adds up. We're pretty excited about this. You know, all of this has allowed us, I mean, obviously it's been a lot of decisions. You can tell we've had a busy summer, but we are a team of not just 7 trustees, but we're really a team of 11 working for you. We have Dr. Stevens, we have Dr. Hebert, we have Dr. Bullock. You know, when I started in the school district 14 years ago being involved, I don't recall any doctors with anybody's title. So I think it just is an indication of Magnolia how we constantly are raising the bar in our community and our school district of what we're doing. And we didn't even have a chief financial officer then, but yes, now we have the Mr. Wonderful Eric Morris. So all of us working together and the insight and the data they're able to give us allowed us to be able to give you these tools. So we're very excited about it. I hope you know how much we appreciate and love everything you do for us and our students. So anyway, love you for that. the new Deborah Rose Miller, actually. Oh, well, too much new. Okay. So I get to bring up Steve Cruz, who is your vice president of your school board. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Mr. Cruz. Before he and I came on the board together, we served in the Magnolia Education Foundation. So we had worked together before, and I already knew what an overachiever that Mr. Cruz was, because when he graduated not just with one distinction, but he's an attorney and a surveyor. So that should give you a little insight to his personality. And then I have to add that he's a graduate of A&M. We probably have a quorum right now of Aggies on our board, so if you come to our board meetings, you hear a lot of this whooping in the background and stuff. And when I came to Texas, I should guess about 30-some years ago, maybe 40 years ago now, who's counting, I didn't understand this Aggie thing because it wasn't in my culture where I grew up. So I asked a friend of mine about it, and he says, well, you know, it takes 3 Aggies to do one job. One to survey the situation, one to do the work, and the third one cheers the other on. So it's obvious that Mr. Cruz is our surveyor for our board, and I'm going to let you figure out this morning who plays the other roles on our board. With that, Mr. Steve Cruz.
Maybe I'm alone, but I kind of like the old Dr. Stevens. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I think everybody else up here had a trial run on their remarks, and I was unable to make it, so hopefully you can bear with me on this. As many of you know, I come from a family of educators. In fact, I've been married for 26 years to one. I know how tough your job is, and I support you completely in doing that job. In my opinion, there's only one thing tougher than teaching, and that's parenting. And sometimes I know you have to be both a teacher and a parent in the classroom. Trust me, we are all aware of that, and we admire you and support you in what you do. Also, in my opinion, teaching is not something you just fall into. I think that teaching is truly a calling from God. You don't just become a teacher because, well, everybody else is being a teacher, and that's what I think I'll do because, well, I can't do anything else. No, you have to have a true calling from God to be a teacher. And I admire you and I applaud you for what you do. I think that we don't support you enough sometimes. But like I said, after living with one for the last 26 years, I think I know a little bit about what goes on. And if there's anything I can personally do to help you do your job, which, as I said, is a tough job, please let me know. Keep up the good work. That's about all I have to say, but I do get to do something. I do get to do one other thing, which is really an honor and a privilege to introduce the next board member. He's my friend. He's a treasure for our community. We're absolutely blessed to have Mr. Thompson here in our community and on our board. He is the longest standing member of our board. He's been on our board for 17 years, and unfortunately, we're going to lose him. This is his last year on the board. Can I hear an awe? Anyway, it's my privilege and pleasure to introduce Mr. Billy Thompson.
Actually, I was doing just fine until he started talking. I was just going to get up here and say, well, I'm not going to tell an Aggie joke. So, again, good morning. How you guys doing? Great. This is an extraordinary honor for me to stand here. Thank you so much for being that person who knew that education was their calling. I am often asked, why did I choose to serve in this position? Well, I'm not sure. Maybe because it makes me feel significant. Maybe because it gives me the opportunity to share in a very small way in all the extraordinary work each of you do. I'm aware that the magic happens in your classrooms. Because of you, the dreams, the goals that we have set will surely be realized, and we will continue to be the best school district in the state of Texas. Thank you so much, and may God bless each of you. Thank you. Please have a seat. Thank you. Guys, I promise you, as much as I appreciate this is not about me, it is about you. You make the difference. So if you're going to stand and give them an ovation, it should be to yourself. Thank you so much. Now, here's my true honor. I do want to introduce our Assistant Secretary, Mr. Chuck Adcock. Chuck.
All right. Well, I don't have anything prepared, but they often ask me what an Assistant Secretary does. I say, I don't know. I do what they tell me to do. I think that's the job. You know, why am I here? I'm here because of you. Because we moved here because of you. So we've been here 8 years now. It's the only school my kids know is this district, and that's going to be the way it's going to be. We've committed to not move with our companies and to stay right here so our kids can be here. And if you look around this room, you can't help but notice it is a family, and that is what makes us special. It's not a bunch of individuals, it's a group. And as I walked in and I heard people go, oh, what'd you do this summer? You know, that is what makes this district special. It's not me, it's you guys and the work that you do. And I hope that you know just how valuable that is. I know, at least in my world, the only time somebody wants to come talk to you is usually bad. They don't want to come tell you a great job. But I do want to tell you a great job. We're excited to be back as a parent. I got to tell you, when my kids get on that bus, I'm going to be doing the kids aren't going. I'll be gone. I'm going to skip back to the house. It's just like a commercial. I'm get back through, so I'm going to be doing that. But I can't say thank you enough for what you do. And just like Steve said, we are always available to you guys. Please, if there's anything we can ever do to help you, please let us know, because that's really what we're here for. So thanks a lot, Godspeed, and we're going to have a great year. I get the joy to introduce Gary Blizzard, and I'm going to go whoop. Yeah, I grew up in Lubbock, so it's a little tough for me. But now that you're in the SEC, I actually root for you, because I like to see an old Big 12 team win. So with no further ado, Gary Blizzard. Thanks a lot.
I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for your passion. My wife was, we were kids for a long time ourselves before we ever had kids. My wife was a school teacher for a number of years. She taught second grade, and I taught a number of kids' Bible studies and things. We've got passion for kids just like you do, but as Steve said, it's a real gift. It's a calling to do what you do. We thank you for that passion. And I want to steal some words that are used around here an awful lot. Valuable, complete, and love. And we say that oftentimes to talk about our kids, but actually it applies to all of you guys in this room. When you talk about being valuable, my wife and I as parents, there's no group of people that we respect and appreciate more than the group of people in this room. So you're highly valuable. You end up spending on a given weekday as much time with our kids as we do. So how can we not appreciate the work that you do? And I saw somebody asked, you know, if you could pay yourself for doing something, what would that be? And one of the top answers to that was a teacher. That's just awesome. And to be complete, please understand that all of us on the board and the administration and everyone else around here support what you do. I kind of look at organizations a little bit upside down. You know, I work in a business and we have the president and all the levels below it. The people that are really where all the action takes place is in the classroom. And that's what we truly believe, and it's an honor and a privilege. When I was asked to do what we do on our board, it was an honor and a privilege to do it because Dr. Stevens says, and so many of us agree, that keeping the main thing is what it's all about. So it all happens in the classroom. Please know that you should feel very complete because we support everything you do in that classroom. And then finally, love. You know, Chuck mentioned that he moved to town here to put his kids in this school, as did we. I've got a daughter that's about to be in high school and a son that's about to be in 7th grade. And we moved here to be in Magnolia, and Lord willing, we won't go anywhere else. So we moved here because we love this district. We love everybody in this room, and we just wish you the best of the year ahead. Thank you for your time. So now I get to introduce a neighbor, a good friend, and a fellow Aggie, Christy Baker.
Okay, well, they've all really messed me up so far this morning. I'm pretty sure now that I've been identified as an Aggie, as if you didn't already know, that you probably know which of the three in Deborah's analogy I represent, probably. And I never cry when Deborah speaks, so that's messed me up. I knew I was going to boo-hoo at Billy, but wow. So I'm in recovery mode, so I'm going to try and get into the spirit here. And for those of you new teachers, when we were giggling, when he said, I think it's the best group we've ever had, y'all don't understand that, but you will. If you're ever on a group for Dr. Stevens, he always says, I believe your group was the best group we ever had. So when he turns over that new leaf, he turns the old one right back over, so y'all know what's going on. But we love him. We did have the opportunity earlier this summer to talk to your leadership, your administrators, and what a great group of folks those are, and what a great group of folks you guys are. It is very exciting to come back and do something that you have loved to do all of these years. It's also remarkably fast summer time, just kind of flies by. And for those of you who are just doing this for the first time, it's very exciting. I did a little something in that leadership development group that I would like to do with you guys too. I promise it's not an icebreaker. If I ever stand up and lead an icebreaker, would y'all have me committed, please? Because something has snapped in my head, because I don't do icebreakers. So if everybody could just close your eyes for just a couple of seconds. I would like for you all in this couple of seconds to remember how you felt the first time you stepped onto a campus where you were supposed to be helping students. Whether that was in a volunteer capacity when you were in school, whether that was student teaching, if you are a new teacher, or whether you have done this for 30 or 35 years, which we are blessed to have teachers who have done so. I'd like for you for a minute to smell the paper and the textbooks. And if you're a secondary teacher, the incredibly overwhelming smell of Axe body spray. I would like for you to just take a moment and think about how awesome it was to step on that campus and know that you were there to help shape those babies and to help them learn and to love them if they don't get it at home and to explain to them sometimes that they are valuable and that they are going to move forward, and that you are going to do your dead level best that year to get them to the finish line. Okay, you can open your eyes. Just because I asked you to open your eyes and get out of that moment, I charge you to please keep that moment for this school year. Those of you who were with us last spring know that we had an election cycle where there was actually an opponent. So that hasn't happen here in a school board race for a while. And that was a stressful time for our district. And there were some mornings when I had to do what I just had you do. I had to go back to the first time I ever volunteered on PTO on an elementary school campus and had that first baby come wrap their arms around me because it was the best carnival they'd ever been to, even though they threw up cotton candy. And so I had to go back sometimes and remember why it was that this feels so important to me. So it is an awesome responsibility that you guys take on every single year. And I don't even think that you realize it anymore because you're just so good at what you do. And those of you who have just been trained to do this, I know you're going, whew, I know how to do this. I have the certificate. I know how to do this. But you're a little bit nervous, I'm sure. I want you to all have that new feeling again because you totally rock it. Every single one of you. Whether you have training wheels on your bike or whether you can pop wheelies and jump ramps, you guys are really good at what you do or you wouldn't be here. There is a lot of thought put into every single position on every single campus because we are mamas and daddies up here, every single one of us. You just heard our superintendent read to you his letter to his child. None of us take this any more lightly. We don't do the work. So it's our job to give you whatever we can possibly give you to do the work. So I urge you when you have that child who's driving you nuts this year, because you're going to have them, and if they're named Baker, my apologies. I urge you to, after the students have left, because if you just close your eyes in class, you're going to freak everybody out. But after the students have left, I urge you to please close your eyes, go back to the place you just were, remember how much you love those children, and remember how much we love you. Thank you so much for what you do. So during that election cycle, we also got to elect one of my dearest, best friends in the whole world, even though he went to the wrong school, the one with the 2 fingers that go up. But other than that, he's phenomenal. But he is a great man. He is a great father. He will be a great trustee, and you are all blessed to have him on your side. Joe Duncan.
Thank y'all so much. What I really want to do is tell you a small story of a family and a parent. I look around here and I see many of my daughter's teachers. I see a science teacher, a Spanish teacher, a math teacher, a principal. My daughters are Kimberly and Reagan. Reagan's about ready to start 7th grade, and Kimberly's about ready to start 9th grade, and my wife is Shauna. If you ever see my daughters and you think they're attractive, it's their mama. You'll know that when you see them. But my older daughter, Kimberly, which I'm so blessed to have had her be taught by y'all, when she first started school, she was a really shy child. And she went to a small Christian school. And she went there for kindergarten, and she went there for 1st grade. And I noticed when she was in 1st grade, that whole year, well, starting off the beginning of the year, she didn't do art. And I'd kind of watch her, and I thought, why is this child going up there doing art? What's wrong with her? And I went to the teacher, and I said, listen, why doesn't Kimberly do art with the other kids? And she said, don't worry about it. It will work out. She'll be fine. And I said, okay, that's fine. Well, then came the 2nd semester, and Kimberly's not doing art. And I thought, this is just awfully odd. Why isn't this child doing art? So the year ended, and I thought, maybe I need to look around a little bit. And I had the great pleasure of going over and talking to some folks at my local elementary school, which happened to be Bear Branch. And you're going to notice as I tell these stories that I'm not going to mention any names. And the reason why, although I think each of the people in this story are unique, I think they're certainly symbolic of what has gone on in this district. And when I spoke to the administrator there and I spoke to the teachers there, I was thoroughly impressed. I thought, this is wonderful. I should have done this before. So we took our daughter out of this school, and that was a little bit hard because it had been a Christian school, and you worry about your child in many aspects. And we put her in there, and she started school, which for her mother and I was a pretty terrifying day. And so she's bumping along, and I keep asking her, Kimberly, how are you doing? And she said, well, Daddy, I think I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. It's a new school. It was a new environment. She'd never been there before. Well, about halfway through that first semester, I happened to bump into her principal. And her principal told me, you know, Mr. Duncan, I've gotten to know your daughter a little bit, and she is an exceptional child. And I said, well, you know, I know her mother not think that. But, you know, but God bless you for thinking that. So I was very impressed by that. Well, a little later in the year, before Christmas, my daughter came home one day, and I asked her that normal question. Well, baby, how are you doing? And she said, Daddy, I am doing great. In fact, I am doing fantastic. And I said, well, okay, how do you know that? And she said, well, because the principal told me. And if she told me, you know, it must be true. And I said, well, you know, you're exactly right. Well, let me tell y'all, that was a transformational year for that child. She had a fabulous teacher that year, and all of a sudden, this child that was so shy and so quiet, all of a sudden she got a voice. And I have 5 sisters, and I am used to girls with voices. And we encourage our girls to be very outspoken. They're certainly entitled to their opinion, right or wrong. And all we ask them is, you know, be polite, be well educated about what you think, and you're allowed to pretty much say what you want. Well, as she bumped along through elementary school and then through junior high, you know, I cannot tell you how those of you who I have the pleasure that you've taught her, you've seen this. She's no longer a shy child. She will tell, especially me, how the cow eats cabbage. I mean, quite frequently. But you know, I cannot thank you enough for taking that child and evolving her in that way. And you know, I think this is something as a district that we can be so proud of. That you know, we've empowered these children to do well. Not only have you empowered them, but I think you've educated them well. You know, something I can say to you on more than one occasion so far. She's gotten a perfect score on some of the state testing. And, you know, when you look at your child, you think, wow, this is something. You know, and I hope all of you take such tremendous pride in that we, compared to the other kids in the state and compared to the other districts in the state, can educate our children that well. Because, you know, we are certainly giving them the opportunity to do well. You've done a phenomenal job of that. Well, you know, if you can empower them and educate them, I think the last thing you have to do is enroll them. You have to get them to stay in touch as they get a little bit older. And I will tell you, last year I was blessed to go to all 3 graduations for Alpha and for Magnolia and Magnolia West. And I noticed when I went to the West graduation that as that administrative staff walked up to those kids, that those kids just kind of lit up. And they were so engaged with that staff. I mean, there was a visible connection between that group. And I thought to myself, you know, that is so much different than where I went to high school. And I went to high school here in Houston. I went to Memorial High School. And we had a great high school, but I tell you what, it was nothing like the connection that I saw between those administrators and those kids that were leaving West. Well, then I had the privilege of seeing the Magnolia kids graduate. And I noticed as they left the stage that there was a little bit of a traffic jam there. And what it was is one of your administrators was speaking to each one of them individually and was telling them that if you have a problem, here, call me, because we're always here for you. And I don't know, when I was a kid, and we saw our principal, at least me, I'd look the other way. It was certainly safer for both of us. And instead, here this gentleman is engaging those young people. And certainly for me, when I left school, that would have been a valuable tool. The last story I want to tell you about is when I saw the Alpha Academy. And I thought this was truly remarkable. There was a young lady who got up and she was telling about her situation. And truthfully, I don't know her. So I don't know if she was overwhelmed by the moment or overwhelmed by what had happened to her while she went there. But when she began to speak, she began to cry and she became inaudible. And their administrator walked up to her just stood right next to her and very softly just kind of reached out and touched her elbow. And it was as if you saw a shirt that had been ironed and no longer had any wrinkles in it. She just relaxed, and all of a sudden she could speak again. And that administrator just stood right by her side while she finished her speech. And if she got shaken up a little bit, or he'd reach over and point at her page and help direct her through it. And truly, I have to tell you, that was one of the most moving things I've ever seen. You know, and I cannot tell you how many kids that, probably without knowing it, that y'all have done that to. That maybe they walked into your classroom and that day, they're pretty much that wrinkled shirt. But by the time they walked out, y'all had smoothed those wrinkles out. And as a parent in this district, I cannot tell you how grateful I am for what y'all have done for my daughters, what you have done for everybody else's daughters and everybody else's sons. Y'all are truly the treasure that exists in the school district, and we thank you so much. And I get the wonderful pleasure to introduce Miss Anita Healy.
I'm so glad that you got to hear all of them, because I know you don't get to see them as frequently, but what they said and the manner in which they support you is truly from their hearts. And I want us to give them one more hand just for the support they give in heart. I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Thompson, because I have to tell you, every time I stand before you and look out at some of the best teachers I've ever known in a long career, in the best district in the state of Texas, I know that you guys change lives. It is an incredible honor to stand here and to see you and to celebrate what we do every day. And that's what we're here to do this morning. Every year we select in the springtime 2 people to represent the best of what we do. You guys pick them from your own campuses, and the best of the best rise up at the district level, and we have 2 teachers of the year, an elementary teacher of the year and a secondary teacher of the year. Now, it's very awesome in the spring because our community comes out in a great way and just loads them up with prizes to show their support